evening. How's everybody doing? Well, Mary, congratulations. Mary Ellen, I think it's terrific. I have worked a lot with Mary on a number of initiatives, and she is a terrific leader. So it's great. Mary Ellen, first time I've met you, and I can understand why you were nominated as well. I've got the pleasure of talking about Joel Johnson, and many of you probably know Joel. For those that don't, let me go through a little background. Then I'm going to talk about his board service at Ecolab, and then I'll give you a few personal insights. Joel, the director. And he's been a great one. So first of all, if you don't know Joel, he comes with great educational credentials. He has a BA in economics from Hamilton College. If you haven't visited Hamilton, I've visited virtually every college. I have a 20-year-old, 18-year-old, and a 16-year-old. I know every college. I know who's got an a cappella choir. I know which professors take people out to lunch and dinner. I visited Hamilton twice. It is an unbelievable school. And Joel has been, I think, served on the board there for a number of years as well. After graduating from Hamilton, he moved on and got an MBA from Harvard. So you guys are supposed to go a little bit. Harvard. You may know that after Harvard, he went and worked 1 year at General Foods. Then Joel took military leave and served as a captain in the Army during the Vietnam War, earning a Bronze Star. So I did not know that about Joel, and so after his military service, he returned to General Foods, where he had a very successful career, and then was recruited away and left New York to come to Austin, Minnesota. Now, Jeff Johnson is here, his son, who probably also deserves some sort of medal, because Jeff moved from New York to Austin as a junior in high school. They didn't dent him. He is now a very successful doctor at Mayo, so, you know, no sympathy really. It worked out quite well for Jeff, but that's not easy duty. We all know that families play a big part here. So at Hormel, he spent 14 years, 12 of them as CEO, retiring in 2005 as Chairman and Chief Executive Officer. And for those who know the Hormel story, Joel did a number of very important things, I think really reshaping Hormel from what it was. You have the Jennie-O story, you got Ready to Eat, did a number of things that positioned that company. I'd say most importantly, he chose, frankly, a great successor as well, Jeff Ettinger, which is a very, very important part, as we know, of the board responsibility, and I'd also say the CEO's responsibility as you're moving through it. So Joel had a huge impact there. Joel also, besides serving on Hormel board, serves today still on the board of Meredith Corporation and U.S. Bancorp, where I have the great privilege of serving with Joel. So Joel's had a very distinguished business career. So Joel joined Ecolab in 1996, 16 years ago. We are blessed with a great board. It's a strong board. It's a board with great experience. It's a board with great experience not only outside the company, but within the company. It's a board that works well together. And Joel is really, I would consider, part of the very core of the board. He joined the company at that time, was $1.5 billion. Our market cap was $2.1 billion, and we were operating in about 30+ countries. Today, sales are 8 times, it's going to be around $12 billion. Market cap is 10 times, around $21 billion, and we operate in over 170 countries. So Joel has seen some change at Ecolab during that period of time. And it takes a board to steer a company through this type of growth and this type of change and continue to keep the character of the company, the focus of the company, and I would say the culture of the company, which I think has been done, and I would attribute that a great deal to the board. So let's talk about Joel's experience here. Well, he brings other awards to the Ecolab board. You may or may not know that while leading Hormel, he served as a chairman of the American Meat Institute, which I think was a childhood dream. Followed He also launched the Spam Museum in Austin, Minnesota. That's brilliant. That's brilliant. And as a result of those efforts, he was elected in the Meat Industry Hall of Fame. You can't make that stuff up. So, it's the only line I can say is he brings meaty experience to all of this. So, at Ecolab, he is currently chairman of the board's audit committee, member of the governance committee. Joel's, how do you put this? So, over this period of time, the 16 years, we've had over 80 acquisitions during this period of time. Most of them small, a few quite large. We've had a recent couple of large ones. But I would say the company has really benefited by driving organic growth, by maintaining a solid culture, having pristine financials. And I would say during this period of time, if you think about it, you have Sarbanes-Oxley, you have this huge expansion globally, we have a complicated company, and Joel has really been very instrumental in helping us govern through this. I think he's been a very, very great audit committee chair. He doesn't come at it as a CFO, he comes at it as a CEO and a chairman, and I think given what we manage, it has been exactly the right perspective for that committee. He understands and spells trouble where trouble exists. He understands when business guys are trying to push too hard, are we investing in the business? He has a great nose for what's important and what's not important. And that has been a great benefit for the company. And for that, audit chairs, that is a very, very difficult, huge time-consuming job. And we throw people like a few extra dollars. I mean, it's nothing versus a time commitment that we ask from people who take these positions and the additional risk, heartache, headache, and all the rest. And so, just personally, Joel, I want to thank you for doing that because you have been unbelievable to this company. And without it, we wouldn't be where we are. So thank you for all you've done. And with that, I will call him up. But first I would say this. If you read this article, he said, nose in, fingers out. It's a great quote. I think that is a great quote for board members. It's not an easy balance to do. Joel, let me just say, nose in for Joel. Joel's not shy. So there are times we're going through great presentations and having all this stuff, and all of a sudden you come to a chart and the figures aren't so good, but you just have 20 good charts, okay? One bad chart you think you're going to sneak through. And Joel goes back and goes, hey, what's going on in this area? Oh my God, I thought I was on a roll. So Joel, nothing gets by the guy, and nose in does not mean we aren't engaged and we aren't caring about it no matter how well things are going. You can always improve the company, and Joel is always there to make sure we understand where that is, and he's also very quick with praise. So, Joel, we're lucky beneficiaries of your great talents, so come on up, accept your award.
Well, thank you, Doug. I appreciate everything about that introduction, except for calling me out on the Harvard bit. I was reading in the Wall Street Journal today that Citicorp had fired its CEO yesterday after the stock was down 87% over 5 years. And the Wall Street Journal had a quote about his successor in an article. Actually, it wasn't an article. This is an editorial quote. Citibank's new CEO, Mike Corbett, appears promising despite his Harvard education. The school that brought you Ted Kaczynski of Unabomber and Jeff Skilling of Enron and the last two presidents who clearly have not pleased everyone also brings you me. It's an honor to be recognized tonight in the Twin Cities, which is a great business community. When I think of the Twin Cities, I think of the financial leadership, agribusiness, manufacturing, medical treatment and services, and so many other industries that are all led in a very innovative way. Minneapolis and St. Paul are in the major leagues of business, and Minnesota is a major league state when it comes to business. So that makes this award particularly meaningful to me. I thought some about why I might have been selected for this award. One might have been durability. I added up the years of service I've had on these four boards, the three I currently serve, plus one that stepped off after I left as chairman, and it added up to 66 years of cumulative board service. And it's also worth noting that the companies are performing well. Doug bragged some about Ecolab, deservedly. But in fact, Hormel and Ecolab are two of only 6 companies in the S&P 500 that have beat the S&P average every year for the past 8 years. And I think Ecolab's a cinch to beat it this year. And for Hormel, it might be a bit of a stretch, but they could get there. So, why serve so long? Well, first of all, it's a nice transition, in my opinion, from corporate management, from active day-to-day management to oversight. And second, and even more important, the system of board oversight and board leadership has worked for me, so I feel an obligation to give back. Hormel has benefited from great board members out of the Twin Cities community. I think John Turner, Jack Morrison, Peter Gillette, Luella Goldberg, Susan Marvin, Jerry Joseph, and others. I just feel an obligation to be there for the next generation, just as these leaders were there for me. You see, I have a no debts philosophy in life. I thought I'd like to go to my grave owing no one anything. That's been my philosophy. But lately I've realized that it's really, frankly, more of a conceit than a philosophy. But more on that later. So as a result of this thinking, my wife and I, with both scholarship students, have endowed scholarships. We've benefited from great professors, so we've endowed professorship. I feel, the obligation that you owe to your parents, you pay to your children. I grew up I'm an avid golfer, but I grew up in the caddy yard, not in a country club. I caddied every weekend from junior high school through college. And even today, I send a ham every Christmas to every caddy in the yard at the Garden State Golf Club. And I say on there, study hard, work hard, and you can wind up on the other side of the bag. So, and as far as board membership is concerned, I feel that I repay my mentors, the people I mentioned earlier, by mentoring the next generation. But this no debts philosophy is really a conceit, because I've learned you really can't pay back everyone. You can't even identify everyone that's helped you along the way. So you have to move to a mode of generosity with your time, with your money, with your energy, and when it comes to board work, with your experience. I approach board service with a certain paranoia, frankly. When I look at my family's history, the companies that were important have disappeared. My father worked 40 years for the Bowery Savings Bank in New York, starting as a teller. But due to New York State regulatory change, the savings bank industry has just disappeared. They're out of business. My father-in-law worked his entire career for U.S. Steel in Pittsburgh. And my grandfather worked his whole career for General Motors, starting as a mechanic. And both those firms really disappeared through bankruptcy as a result of self-inflicted wounds. And then General Foods, where I spent the first 24 years of my career, went away as a result of a well-financed but poorly executed acquisition by a tobacco company, Philip Morris, and that's why I left in 1991, because I didn't want to work for a tobacco company. So directors, I feel, are in place to represent long-term shareholders. I understand tonight that I was selected because I represent all stakeholders, but I've got to admit to you, I have a strong bias toward long-term shareholders as the primary people I represent on the board. They need someone in the boardroom representing them. Management represents the employees, the sales force represents the customers, everyone represents the community. But the individual and smaller shareholders really don't have any represented outside the board, and that's my primary responsibility, in my opinion. And you also have the obligation to support management in general terms, but never particular individuals. Sorry, Doug, but Ecolab is more important to me than you are. And I think a board member has to be that hard-headed about his service and his obligations. Directors must insist on clear, responsible long-term strategies, continuous improvement in the company, transparent governance, conspicuously high ethics with the tone set at the very top of the company, and management succession plans, as everyone has discussed tonight, both for emergencies and for planned transition. So I feel that independent boards, directors are a cornerstone of the American capitalist system, and I'm proud to do my part. Thank you very much.